Climate change is causing sea level rise, which is affecting coastal communities around the world. In this video, we'll look at how sea level rise combined with land subsidence is likely to affect the northern part of the Kāpiti Coast over the next 30, 50 and 100 years.
So we're here at Waikanae Beach to talk about those processes and what sea level rise will do to those on the northern part of the Kāpiti Coast district. And as we can see from behind me, we have a wide beach and we have a well-developed dune system, which is representative of that sediment supply coming down from the north and that long-term growth of our shoreline. And that's because behind us, we don't have the island anymore. And so that sediment can move along those coasts uninterrupted to form the coastal landforms that we currently have. These dunes can be impacted by storms, and so the need to maintain those dunes is still high.
In 30 years, under the lower relative sea level rise projections, this shoreline will continue to build and we might not see very much net change at all, but at the higher end of the 30-year projections, we could see around 20 metres of retreat. Over 50 years, we could again see little change at the lowest predicted sea level rise, but at the highest scenario, we could see around 30 metres of erosion. Over 100 years, the influence of sea level rise will be greater than the influence of the sediment supply, so we could see erosion of up to 60 metres.
So further north, we have the coastal settlements of Pakapaka and Tohoro. Those future shoreline changes are going to be very similar. But even with those long-term rates of accretion, if we had low sea level rise rate, it's still important that these dunes are maintained because those storm events will still occur, and they'll occur more frequently than they do now, and their impacts might be slightly greater than they are now. But as we go further north to Tohoro, the beach changes from a sand beach to a more gravel beach. And that's because of the gravel that comes out of the Otaki River and flows to the south as far as the Tohoro settlement. So those gravel beaches have a lower ridge, they don't have the sand dunes, so they are more susceptible to coastal flooding. When we have very large storm events with increased sea level rise, then we have a greater threat of coastal flooding, particularly when those waves overtop the beach and pond and the swales form the frontage to the Tohoro settlement. And the furthest north settlement is Otaki Beach. There, those sand dunes have been building out at around about 0.5 metre to 1 metre a year over the last 70 years. But the predicted erosion rates with sea level rise are slightly higher.
At the northern end of the district, the predicted shoreline erosion over 30 years might be up to 30 metres. Over 50 years, it could be up to 40 metres. With the maximum predicted sea level rise in 100 years, erosion could be up to 90 metres.
So again, at Otaki Beach, those existing dunes provide good protection on the open coast against coastal flooding. In very rare events, it'll be limited to around the mouths of the Waitahu stream and the Otaki River. But within 50 years, with sea level rise, we could see isolated flooding around Rangiuru Road and Moana Street. Then within our 100 years, at our highest sea level rise predictions of around 1.65 metres, then we could see some isolated overtopping of the stop banks of the Otaki River, and the area around the back of Otaki Beach settlement could become more susceptible to coastal flooding. So governments, local and national, all around the world are concerned about what those hazards might mean as we go forward. And Kāpiti Coast District Council is no different. They want to start that conversation with their communities about how we might manage these changing hazards and increasing hazards as they go through time.